Evening, 2 a.m. with Jason. Hope you're doing well. I thought for tonight's thing, I would just talk a little bit more about David Brainerd. For those of you that weren't at the 10 o'clock service this morning, I shared a little bit about his history. He was born in the early 1700s. He only lived to be 29 years old. When he was a freshman in college at Yale, he developed what we believe is tuberculosis, and he ended up dying from it 9 years later. He would end up getting kicked out of school, and he became a missionary to the Native Americans in New Jersey. He's definitely not someone you would have picked to say, this is where we're going to start our mission from. But his dedication to God was so fierce that he says, it doesn't matter the other stuff. What I want is to serve and to fully serve, fully live for God. There are a little bit more about his story. So he got there to preach to the Native Americans, and as he got there, he said he decided to pray outside their camp, and so he was on his knees in prayer. There's actually, the Native Americans saw that he was there and said, we need to send a party to go and kill him. We don't know who this guy is or why he's hanging out here. And so they went and they snuck up on the camp, on his little tent. And as they got there, he was praying for God to open up the things. He's in there kneeling at his bed, little cot thing, and a rattlesnake appeared, and they could see it, and the rattle was going, and it got ready to strike, and then for some unknown reason to the Native Americans, it stopped and just got back down and slithered away. And they said, we have got to listen to this paleface is the way that the story reads, because he is connected to the Great Spirits. Like, there's something about him, we've got to listen. Interestingly enough, he would report later back that all 47 of the people in that village ended up accepting Christ, 23 adults, 24 kids, and it's just an amazing testimony to God working in ways, because he said, listen, I only have but a short time to live for God. I need to live it completely for him. And that's a tricky thing for us to think about, is how are we living completely for him? But David Brainerd said, I want to do it. There's a couple journal entries I want to read to you, I think are interesting. For those of you, again, that weren't there, I mentioned that he ended up dying at Jonathan Edwards' home. Jonathan Edwards and his family took care of him in his dying days, and actually Jonathan Edwards is the one who would go on to publish his diary and journal and a book about him, his biography, which would go on to inspire many other great missionaries. But these are just a couple of his. One of the pages says this: Wednesday, April 21st. God again enabled me to wrestle for a number of souls, and had much fervency in the sweet duty of intercession. The Lord's Day, April 25th. This morning I spent about 2 hours in secret duties, and I was enabled more than ordinary to agonize for the immortal souls. Though it was early morning and the sun scarcely shined at all, yet my body was quite wet with sweat. Saturday, December 15th. Spent much time in prayer in the woods, and seemed raised above the things of this world. Monday, March 14th. In the morning, was almost continually engaged in prayer. Thursday, August 4th. Was able to pray much through the whole day. And Thursday, November 3rd. Spent this day in secret fasting and prayer from morning till night. He was dedicated. He was dedicated not just when it's time to preach, not just when it was time to witness, not just when it was time to be public with things. He was dedicated on the small things on a personal level, which enabled him to fully live for Christ. You see, he said, this is what I have to be. This is who I am. Three of the quotes that I shared this morning, one was, oh, that I could dedicate my all to God. This is all the return I can make him. Another one was right here. It is sweet to be nothing and less than nothing, that Christ may be all in all. And finally, the other quote was, I love to live on the brink of eternity. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we all are living on the brink of eternity. and to think that God has amazing plans for you, for me, today, even as the day is waning. May He be glorified with what we do and with what we say and with how we live. Anyway, till next time.